Workers' Day. It is the day that commemorates the struggles and also the gains of workers all, not just in this country, but all around the world. This is really about the labor movement and what has come to be and what work is still left to do. So a little history lesson on this. Let's go back in time just a little bit. In 1889, an international Federation of Socialist Groups and Trade Unions designated May 1st as a day in support of workers in commemoration of the Haymarket riot in Chicago in 1886. And on this day, where we honor the labor movement, guess what? We do have still so much more work to do. Check out this headline per The Guardian. Dumb and dangerous, USC's surge in effort to weaken child labor regulations. This is real time. This is 21st century, 2023, and it seems like we are going backwards. And here are some details on the efforts that are happening all across the country, in states across this country, to roll back the hands of time. This March, a bill was reintroduced in the US House and Senate that would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to work in certain mechanicalized operations in the logging industry under parental supervision. Timber industry groups have strongly backed the legislation. I wonder why. Thank you for this reporting coming from Michael at The Guardian. Now, the logging bill is just one of several efforts across the US to roll back child labor protections. When it comes to logging, for Wendy Bostwick, the news was a nightmare. Bostwick's son, Cole, who had just turned 18, died in a logging accident in 2014 on a job site in Washington, where his father, Tim Bostwick, was also working. Now, logging is one of the most dangerous jobs in the United States of America. Why on God's green earth with blue water, why we ever would want to have a child working in this industry? But let's put this up: the most dangerous job in the US. Fatal injury rate, 70 per 100,000 workers. Total deaths, 2019 was 46. Salary, a little over $42,000. Most common fatal accidents, contact with objects and equipment. Logging workers had a fatal accident rate that was 21 times the average job nationwide. Now, the 2023 death on the job report showed the following: 350 workers in the US under the age of 25 died on the job in 2021, including 24 workers younger than 18 years old. Again, why on God's green earth with blue water and blue skies would we ever want children, younger people, to do a job like this? Now, we've seen a lot of child labor rollbacks just this year. Now, survey shows an already alarming surge in labor violations. The number of children employed in violation of child labor laws has increased by 37% in the last year and by 283% since 2015, from over 1,000 reported cases of children working in violation of child labor laws to almost 4,000 in 2022. So far, 10 states have proposed or passed legislation to roll back child labor protections in the past 2 years, 8 being just this year. We're gonna put up the states where this is happening: Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, my home state of Ohio, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. And you remember this moment right here? Put this up. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signs a measure loosening child labor protections in this state. The faces of children say it all. They know. I mean, this looks like Jackson. Let's bring Jackson in. I mean, this looks like a daggone hostage taking.
Right, they like get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Smile. They still don't smile. Yeah, it definitely looked like they was forced up there. Like, yay! I don't really understand what's going on, but yay.
Yeah, absolutely. So your thoughts on this surge and what is happening in the country right now?
Well, of course, my good old home state of Missouri was on there as well, so we both have to take similar L's in this matter. But the reality is that these types of measures to make it legal for people who are too young to work jobs they shouldn't be working is simply a reaction, basically, to fill in the gap due to low interest in the position for people who are more qualified for it. Because all you have to do to fill in, like, oh, there's a labor shortage, just pay people a little bit more, just give people a little bit more benefits, make the position more attractive for people who are more suitable for the position. Some of the arguments were that, well, if somebody 16, 17 wants to be out there working, then they should have the right to do so. And what better way than to train them up with their parents? But the reality is, if they want to get some type of apprenticeship or practice with that, they can do that on their own leisure time. They can learn about carpentry or lumber, whatever it is. They can do that in an extracurricular fashion. But this is just the result of corporate America not really wanting to pay people, not really wanting to support people, and finding ways to remain cheap without paying a price. That's all this is.
Yeah, and these children are definitely going to pay the price for the loosening of child labor laws. And I, for one, want to see the feds jump in here on these states. It is time for the federal government to jump in. More importantly, Jackson, it's time for the American people to jump in on this. This is disastrous, and the type of elected officials, this is happening primarily in states that are controlled by the GOP, and it's villains like Governor Sarah Huckabee that show that a civilization that does not protect its children is really no civilization at all. I mean, how can we continue to call ourselves civilized? And it's also businesses that are to blame too, because as you just mentioned in your comments, the businesses, they want cheap labor. And it is really a damn shame, a sin and a shame that now children are being placed back in these kinds of situations, because there was a time in our nation's history where this was okay. It was acceptable for children to work in coal mines. Don't get me started on chattel slavery, the original, where black children were not treated as children. They weren't even treated as human beings because their parents weren't treated as human beings. And that happened in this country too. And we going backwards. So let's turn to these businesses though. The primary proponents of these laws are business groups and their state affiliates, particularly the National Federation of Independent Business, the Chamber of Commerce, and the National Restaurant Association, Hotel, Lodging, and Tourism Associations, Grocery Industry Associations, Home Builders, and Americans for Prosperity, a billionaire-funded right-wing dark money group, have also supported bills in various states. America, we got a problem. This is a problem, and we should not accept it. It really is a sin and a shame. And so we're gonna go into further coverage today on the TYT network. We're gonna have a May Day special coverage happening this evening. You don't want to miss it. We have Francesca, we have yours truly, we have John and Anna. Tune in tonight starting at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And the GOP certainly is the main proponent of the rollbacks. It doesn't matter at this point.
They just trying to teach people how to work hard. You know what I'm saying? They just trying to make sure that the cream continues to rise to the top. We got to teach them early. We got to get them started younger. Because back in the good old days, minus all the stuff that sucked, there were a few things that were good, but nah, that's all it is. They just being cheap. But scarily too, all the states that you read off, along with all the organizations that you read off. This is a real effort, and it's not something that they're gonna hit a 180 on. So it's definitely good that y'all gonna be talking about this more tonight, and we got to keep on talking about it.
Yeah, we do, Jackson. And again, the feds need to step in. But America, more than having the feds step in, we need to step in as the American people. I mean, my grandmother used to say common sense ain't common. I mean, this is common sense. But to quote grandma, common sense ain't common. This really is a damn sin and a shame that any grown A person would think that this was okay to put our children in harm's way like this. We need to check ourselves, to quote the rapper, before we wreck ourselves.